Okay, this is a little cuckoo clock we're going to work on for Jason, and it's already got the movement out of it. Materials in the box. We have a little bit of repair to do to the case. There's a crack here and a crack down here, that whole piece, so we'll be taking that off and repairing that. Alright, this piece had been broken in several places. There's a big crack down here, a break here, a break here, a break here, and a small break here. And the way I'm going to fix that is I've glued the pieces on surface to surface, but that's a very weak way to do it. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking a Dremel tool and I'm grinding slots across the break, and into those slots I'll put a piece of music wire, stiff music wire, and epoxy it in, and that'll give support across the break so it doesn't just pull apart again. So that's what I'm doing here. We'll mix up some epoxy. We'll fill those. I'll take some music wire and we'll cut it. We'll put those into the slots. Yeah, epoxy them in, and that'll make these good and strong. We'll be able to finish this off. Fixed all the brakes. Epoxy I'm using in this case, these are all out now. It's called JB Weld, and it's called wood weld, and it's got some wood fiber in it, so once it hardens, it can be sanded and cleaned up, and you can't even see what you've been messing with. So anyway, these are empty, so I'll toss them. Yeah, once it's all hardened, then I can finish off the front. Maybe show you how to do that. Okay, this JB Wood Weld sands pretty nicely. We're going to sand all this off in the back now, get it nice and smooth. That looks good. Get some filler. Okay. Well, I got that all repaired. Broken pieces all done. Everything colored, filled, colored, and done. Back. Not too bad. Looks better. Broken pieces repaired. Okay, this movement now is Regula. Regula 25. This is dash 77. I'm thinking that's probably meaning it was made in 1977. I've been looking at it. Really doesn't look like there's much wear. Like none of the pivots are worn. The only thing really wrong with this is the it's dirty, not bad. needs cleaned, oiled, and then the chain wheel on the run side, the click doesn't work. It's bent, and likely what's happened is that some kid has grabbed a hold of the weight, he yanked on the weight, and that bent the click inside. I don't know if we can see that or not. Right there. Let me get something to point with here. Right in here. Right in that area there. That click is bent. So we'll take this apart, clean it, and take that click wheel out and see what we need to do. Maybe we can bend that straight again. We'll check it, see if we can do that. If we can't, we'll order a new wheel. If you're going to take one of these apart, make sure that you take a look at the position of the strike mechanism parts before you take anything apart. Now, this is in a position now as if it were at the end of a strike. And this is called the rack. You can see this little lever here is underneath the end of the rack. This gathering pallet right here. So this pin has to be in the slot of the gathering pallet, which makes this end underneath the rack. That puts this detente up here in position to be in front of the pin on the warning wheel. That's right here. Let's see if we can see that. See this detente? Here's the pin on the warning wheel. It should be up against that detente. And it needs to be that way to make the strike operate properly. And so we'll start taking this apart. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all these levers from the front, and they're held on with little E-clips. We'll take this clip off, off under here. That'll allow us to remove all these pieces, and then some of these other levers that are on the front are held on with clips on the back, and these are those little boogers that I bought that special pair of pliers to take off, and so we'll be using those. But we can take off the star wheel on the back. It's held on by a screw. We can take these levers out by unhooking in this case, on the hammer. We'll unhook that. It's tied, kind of tied on with a wire, brass wire. Unhook it, then they flip over and be taken out. Well, so right now what I'll do is I'll take off all these levers. Okay, so let's see if we can take that rack off. I'll get in here, take this E-clip out. If I can see. Little E-clip, a little washer. It holds on the intermediate wheel. Once that's off, then you can take off the snail. You can take off the intermediate wheel. And I'll get these two levers off. I'm going to remove this spring. Unhook this spring. And that can come off. We'll leave it on there for now. Okay. Come to the other side. Do that. There it comes. Okay, let's undo the hammer. Throw a magnifier. Get that wire out. Goes in a little tiny hole. Well, that's a booger. Let's get the spring undone. What I gotta do to get the hammer off is let's rotate it this way. There's a little pin. Oh, excuse me. Hello. Hello. Nobody there. Okay. Yeah. Now where were we? Yeah, it said on the hammer. A little tiny pin. Here, it's got to line up with a slot. Once it comes to the slot, you can just pull that right out. Now the two other levers are for the Cuckoo. And what we got to do here is same thing. They don't have springs on them. Rotate them backwards till the slot lines up and slide right out. Slide right out, just like that. Now, some of the older Cuckoo clocks, the lever that holds the bird on is held on with clips that are screwed on, and these clocks are clips that are pressed into the plate, and then they're just pressed over. I don't really like to spread these unless I have to. I don't like to remove that unless I have to, simply because if you break one of these off, it's going to be make a repair difficult, so we'll leave it for now. Yeah, what the heck, let's get the suspension out of the way here. Just bend that open. Take that off, take that out. Suspension. We can get these others out now. Let me see if I can find my pliers. My little pliers that prevent a lot of swearing. They got little tips on them. I know people call these by different names, but some of them, those little tips on there will break off. It's been the big complaint. These Nipex ones are pretty cool. When you squeeze the handle, it spreads the tips instead of the other way around. So they go inside these clips. Go in, squeeze, lift right off. Go in, see how you can see how that's working. This little clip right here. We'll put those little ends right in there. Oops, squeeze the handle. Doesn't take a lot of pressure, comes right off. Once those are out, then we can go around the front and we can take these off. These two levers. This one comes out. And get the spring out the way here. Get that spring out of the way. Then this lever will come out. Come on, where are we snagging here? Looking through this magnifier, I can't really see too well right now. Anyway, slide it out. Okay. The only other thing we have to do normally is to take that, it could be left on, but then you can't get one of the gears out and clean that pivot hole. You got to take this gathering pallet out, and we'll do that in a second. Okay, let's go ahead and leave that in there. And we'll take the back plate off. Pliers. And forgive me if I'm not quite up to par. Having some health issues lately. Just before Christmas I had what they referred to as a little stroke, and didn't affect my movement, what have you. It affected my reading memory, basically. Anyway, take that screw off, that one off. Take these four off. Now the one gear that's not going to come out is the one with the gathering pallet on. I'll take the gathering pallet off after we get this all apart. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so now we just pull a plate off. And lift the anchor out at the same time. Take a look at it. And essentially no wear on it, just dirty, a little oily. Okay, and now we'll move this around here. We'll take a look at the gearing. You can see it. Point out some of these parts. Okay, this is the run side. You get the chain wheel, get the second wheel, and you've got the escape wheel. On the Cuckoo side, you got the chain wheel, you got the second wheel, you got the warning wheel or third wheel, and you've got the fly. Let's take these gears out. This is the run side. Well, maybe. Come on, there we go. And this is the one that has the problem with the click. And you see here, what it is, there's a little, underneath here, there's a little notched wheel. And there's little tabs that come out and have little, they're bent downward and then bent again to make kind of almost a L shape. And they are supposed to drop into the little slots. This one is good. See what it's supposed to look like right there. Nothing wrong with that one. We can look on the other side. This one looks kind of funny because what's happened is this has been pulled backwards forcibly and get caught on the tooth in there and literally bent that piece backwards. So this piece is bent, and what that means is this chain wheel doesn't work. Try winding it and it just snags. So we got to try to take that apart so we can fix that. If we can't, then what we'll have to do is we'll have to order one of these from, I get them from Time Savers. I think they're $8 or $9, something like that. We'll just order a new wheel. And that's basically all that's wrong with this clock, other than it needs cleaned and oiled. So we'll go ahead and take it apart and clean it and oil it. So that piece will set aside, that's run side, so that's going to go in this bucket. And then we have, this is the second wheel down here. And there's, yeah, it definitely needs cleaned. There's some rust and some gunk in that. Just get it good and clean. It's very oily. I don't know why it shouldn't have that much oil on it. And then the escape wheel. And yeah, the pinion gear has got some rust about it. That's kind of dirty, oily. That's okay for that one to be oily. And then for the strike side, we've got the fan. And this is the wheel we're not going to take out. Anyway, we can take this chain wheel out. Come here, little fella. There we go. If you look at the chain wheel, we look at the clicks on the chain wheel. Ooh, that one's a tad bent too, but not bad. Okay. Anyway, you can see how those clicks are supposed to operate. When I turn the chain, you hear them clicking. I don't know if you can see that here. Those little tabs just kind of snap down in those slots. That's how it's supposed to work. But if you force that backwards this way real hard, that would bend that tab backwards. And then it would jam instead of rolling across like this one does. And that can happen if you have a kid in the house and they go over and they've seen somebody wind the clock, so they think they try to do the same thing, only they grab a hold of the weight and they yank on the weight, and it moves the gear backwards and bends the daylights out of them. So that's what ends up happening to those. That's strike side. Okay, and then here's our warning wheel. And you can see the rust in that pinion gear. Don't like to see that, so we'll clean all that up, get that rust out of there. And then this is the gear that has our, and this is the little gear that holds the door open. holds the bird, keeps the bird working. Goes in here. And that latches. And it holds the birdie. When the birdie is out, that holds it open. So that's got to go in there too. Yeah, put him in with those guys. And of course the center one's not going to come out unless it's really worn, because we don't want to mess with it. So we'll leave this piece in. You know, I might be able to clean that without taking that gathering pallet off. Maybe I'll just leave it on. Nah, I should take it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, this inside gear can come out, or this inside lever can come out. It's just got a C-clip on there, E-clip on it too. So I'll take that E-clip loose. I'll take him out. And then he comes out this way. Like so. Alright, and there we are. Now to get that gathering pallet off. The easiest way for me is just to grab a hold of it with a pair of pliers and twist it and pull. And put a little piece of cloth on it to keep from marring it up with things. So we'll do that. And this sometimes lets go forcibly, so I want to get the camera the heck out of the way. And before I take the gathering pallet off, something you should look at on this same gear, there's two little black lifts on the inside on that same arbor. You see them right here. These are literally what push on the lever that pushes the door open. Pushes the lever that ends up pushing the bird out. And that should be in the put back relative to the gathering pallet. Here's the gathering pallet right here, and if we look through, you can see that lever, that little black tab in there. If you look at it, when the gathering pallet is in its, this is the position it would be in when the movement is shut down. The point of that should be right up from that notch. So remember that when you put this gathering pallet back on, that tab should be right there. So when the movement is shut off, it should be there. So make sure that's in that right position. Okay, got the gathering pallet off. And now this gear can come out. Now you can see those little tabs I was talking about. So that wants to be in the up position when the gathering pallet's in its proper position. Goes in there. This one, don't mess with unless it's worn, because you're going to have to take that washer off, which is a press fit with a spring on it, and it acts as a friction. There's a clutch for this gear, so that allows you to be able to turn the hands to set the clock. But it's about as far as we'll take it apart. We're going to clean everything now. Okay, we tried straightening that out. I can make it work now. Problem is I can't get this bent piece of bent click to get back in there to function. That would make this only operate on one, and that makes it extremely hazardous to use. So I got a little package in the mail. Let's see. And this is from Frankenmuth Clock Company in Michigan. And we'll open this up. Oh, maybe we will. I can't make my hands work. Okay. Packaging and what is inside is pretty simple. And open it up. And, you know, maybe it's just easier to cut the bag. Okay, and there's an exact replacement, and you can see, let's get the light over here. Here's the damaged piece right here, and here's what a new one looks like, where both clicks are in the proper position. And that works that way. So we got a replacement gear, and we will use that one instead. There are all the pieces, nice and clean. Remember some of the rust that was in some of these pivot or these pinion gears. We have those nice and clean now. See, there's no rust in there at all. Yeah, I got those all clean. Okay. Basically, there's really not any wear in it, so there's no bushings to be put in, so it's time to just put this back together. One of the first pieces we have to put in is this little thing. This lever. This is a lever that locks onto this piece to keep the bird door open while it's cuckooing. A little rod right here is what will push the bird open. It's on the outside of the bird door. There's a little tab right here that makes the bird perch go in and out. Okay? When the bird is pushed out, something's got to keep it from coming back in, because the spring tends to make it want to come back in. Well, what that thing is this pin on this little device. Okay, that goes in here. Okay, Goes right there. So when the bird, actually, there, what you can see is when this is lifted, that pin pushes on that door tab, or that bird perch tab, and pushes the bird out. Okay, so this is what controls what pushes the bird out right here. This little lever. Now, what keeps that from immediately going back in is this lever. Okay, so when this is in, got the bird pushed out, then this tab here holds that. You can see right here. That little hook holds that pin. Won't let it go, so the bird stays out. When this is released, then this can go down and the bird can come back in. So that's the part that makes the bird go in and out. So we want to set that when you're putting this back together. With these two levers set so that this pin that pin is on the outside of the tab that pushes the bird open. Right, as this runs, bird is being pushed out. That little hook drops onto that pin and holds it in place. That keeps the bird out. Okay, the thing cuckoos, and then this hook is released. That can go back. Hook is releases the pin, and a bird goes back in. So when you are putting this together, and you're putting this lever in, you got to make darn sure that that pin is outside this little rectangular plate. Otherwise, jam behind it, the bird ain't going to open. Okay? That's how those two pieces have to go together. And the warning wheel, we're going to put the pin toward the top. It's a little hard to do. The camera in the way. Oh well. So we can't get that one in there. I know it's there somewhere. There we go. And then we've got the fly that goes in. Okay, then we've got the strike stuff that's got to go, or the run stuff that's got to go in. This plastic wheel is going to go against the center wheel here to run the hands. Like so. And then we have a second wheel. And nice and clean. And that's going to go in here. Let me see if I can get it in there. Okay, and then of course the last wheel to go in there is the escape wheel, and that's going to go right down here. Okay. And then we've got to also get the crutch in there, but we'll do that just before we get this plate all set. Get that partially in there, I guess. Like so. All right, and now we're going to work the pivots into the holes. And I got to get this camera out of the way to do that. Okay, all the pivots are back in, and things are ready to run. Now, before we start putting everything else on, I'll go ahead and oil these pivots. So what I'll do is use an oiler. Hope I'm seeing this okay. Alright, dab it in the oil. Too much. Got that one already. Okay. I'm setting the hour hand so that it's just past the time. Okay, get this on at this longer tab right here is for the hour. Shorter one underneath here is for the half hour. This trips the half hour, this trips the hour. Intermediate wheel. And then we want that in a position where it's just dropped this. Put the snail on. And then the rack. This should be about exactly in the middle of a step, right? Let's see there, in the middle of the step. So that'd be 1 o'clock. Right, then the next thing to do is get the little washer. Put it on here. It keeps the intermediate wheel from coming off. Get the washer all the way on. There we go. The pliers, maybe these don't have a magnetism on. There we go. That one's on. Now we gotta put the other one on here. There's that little clip. Okay. That's good. Piece of fuzz. Okay. Those pieces back on. This is the position it would be in when it's shut off. This is the position it would be in when the rack is released. And that side is all set. Alright, now we have to put on we have to get some new towels. We got to put on let's see where we're at here. Okay, there's shut off right there. This is under the rack. That pin is there. We got to put on the gathering pallet. And that pin right there has got to be in that slot. We'll put the gathering pallet on. It's going to go right like that, with the warning pin against this detente. Gathering pallet with this in here. This is underneath. Everything's in place, and now I just press it on. And this down. And just make my hands work. I just need to press that down. Okay. And that should be on there tight enough. Punch roll. Let's see if I got one big enough. Give it just a little tiny tap. pellet on. Nice and tight. Okay. This is all set up now. Trip this. It should go once. Shut off. Okay. Now if we go around a full turn, put a hand on here. This actually should strike 3 now. 1, 2, 3. It stops. Okay, if I turn this another hour, it should strike 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, should strike 11 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and then finally 12. Okay, there's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And there you see. The bird thing works, everything works fine. Okay. Now we got a little lift wheel that's got to go back on. And we'll tighten that up. We'll have to adjust that later. Right now, just keep it from falling back off. We'll tighten the screw just a tad. And we'll get the hammers back in. There's the lifts back in. We got the 2 cuckoo lifts. And the hammer. And if you look at the 2 cuckoo lifts, this one is longer than this one, and that's the one that goes on the bottom. So we'll put him in. You see this little pin here. That little pin has to be set up so it goes through that slot. Put it in a hole on the other side and rotate it that way. And that's installed. Actually, that needs to. I'll do this here. Okay. Now we'll put in the little one. Same thing, got a little pin here. Goes in that slot. Rotate it around. Then we get the hammer, and that's got to go in. It's got a spring on it, so I have to watch that spring doesn't get caught on something. Now, same thing, there's a little pin. Goes in the slot. The pivot on the other hole goes around. All set. And what we got to do is, since this is already in set position, then we turn this until they're both released. That would be bang, Cuckoo. Now let's go clear around here so I can get the screw under there. Right, and then we go Cuckoo. And that's really weird. That should be about right. We can always adjust it later. Tighten that. And now if we trip this, I'll trip it by hand. We should watch, make sure those operate right. Cuckoo. Okay, those are set. Okay, we're putting the chains in. Get them started on a wheel. Work the wheel. It's a little hard for me to do. Fingers don't want to work. Chain around. Okay. Pull that chain through. About halfway through. And now this is ready to go back into the case. Put the clock in the case like so, and then I'm going to take each bit of chain and hold them in front of the hole they go into. In with a forceps, needle nose plier, pull the chain through the hole. The next one. And the last one. Chains are in, and what we have to do now is put the movement in place and put the screws in, and we'll do that. Now to help with that, it's nice to have a screwdriver like this that has a split blade on it. When you push on this little black piece, it pushes the blades together. So when you put that on a screw and just push on that, it holds the screw. Makes it a lot easier to get it into the case. Okay. As that movement is secured now. And now we'll put the birdie in. And the bird, just make sure that we slide the bird on the bird perch. Let's see if this is right. First of all, we got a little piece of plastic sticking up here that like a burr. Okay. Okay, put this bird in, and attach the wire to the door. And we'll put those back in. And the way these go on is there's a little hook and a little eye here. And this one's going in the right side. We're going to put that little hook right in that eye like that. This loop is going to go down into the long one, like so. There's a little nail. And we're going to put that in. This screw. Screw gets tightened up. And then it goes in to keep the cuckoo from turning. And here's what we got now. Okay. The other one has a little wire on it. Man, that's all bent to heck. Do some straightening out on this thing. Should start out with it relatively straight. And what we're going to want to do is get that wire so that when this cuckoo goes up, this wire is going to be under the bird's tail and lift the bird's tail. So, and we have a wire, a little hook on the end, and that's going to go in the little loop, and that's going to go into the small lift wire. And we're going to set that down in there. The birdie is going to go, tail is going to go above it. And we get a little screw. And we put that in here. And we find the hole for the bellow. And the screwdriver. I can turn this around here. Got the bellow in. Got the screw here. Okay. We straighten this out. This bellow. What's in here? Nice and straight in the case. And we're going to drive that tack in so that the cuckoo can't turn. Alright, now we got them both in. And then we'll test it to see if it works. Okay, now let's see if it runs. Oh. Okay. Let's go around again until it trips. Okay. Okay. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. Okay, this should cuckoo once. And then we should, this one should cuckoo 3 times. Okay, it's ready to go. And we can watch from here. Okay, all set. Everything works just fine. And we got to put the suspension rod back on the hole. Okay. Pinch that back together. Okay. And it's ready to test run as soon as we get the hooks and the loops and the chains. And then I gotta take the glasses off. I'm gonna bend that loop closed. Okay, there's a hook back on. And the loop goes on the other one, I think. Put the loop in. And close. goes the link. Okay. Like so. Okay, so those are there. Yeah, it's now ready for hands. And we will do that after we set this up.